China fields the most secretive nuclear bomber force on the planet. 20 aircraft, 20 missiles. One brigade standing alert around the clock inside a mountain-hardened base in Henan province. That is the entire airborne leg of Beijing's nuclear triad. Not a fleet, a single unit. The aircraft is the H-6N, derived from a Soviet design that first flew in the 1950s. It looks like a relic. It isn't. Upgraded engines, a refueling probe, and a semi-recessed ballistic missile hardpoint have transformed it into a machine capable of reaching targets nearly 10,000 kilometers away. But the machine is only half the equation. Behind every sortie is a 4-person crew, trained across 24-hour rotating shifts, staged through coastal airfields, and conditioned to fly a mission profile that, if ever executed for real, ends at a nuclear target. Until China's H-20 stealth bomber arrives, these crews are the only option Beijing has. The H-6 began as a copy. In the late 1950s, the Soviet Union licensed the Tupolev Tu-16 Badger to China. Beijing built it, flew it, and then kept rebuilding it for 7 decades. The result is a family of aircraft that looks familiar at a distance and is very different up close. As of 2024, the People's Liberation Army Air Force operates between 200 and 230 H-6 aircraft across all variants: conventional strike, maritime attack, electronic warfare, aerial refueling. The airframe does everything, but only one variant carries nuclear weapons. 20 H-6N aircraft are assigned exclusively to the 106th Air Brigade at Neixiang in Henan province. That is the entire fleet. The H-6K, which forms the backbone of the conventional force, set the template the N variant builds on. Russian-derived Soloviev D-30 turbofan engines replaced the original smokestacks, cutting fuel consumption by 20% and boosting thrust by 30%. The difference is not cosmetic. It is the reason crews can now fly over water for 10 hours without turning back. The H-6N goes further. A refueling probe compatible with the Y-20 tanker adds 500 kilometers of range beyond the already impressive unrefueled figure of 3,100 to 3,300 nautical miles. Pair that with the CJ-100 cruise missile, and the strike radius approaches 6,000 kilometers. Guam, the second island chain, the Central Pacific, all reachable without crossing into defended airspace. The weapon slung beneath the fuselage is the JL-1 air-launched ballistic missile. Alongside it, the KD-21 cruise missile extends the cruise options to targets roughly 2,100 kilometers from release point. The base that houses all of this is built to survive. More than 20 reinforced shelters, cavern entrances carved directly into the neighboring mountainside. Neixiang was not designed for visibility. It was designed to absorb a first strike and keep flying. 4 people fly each H-6N: a pilot, a co-pilot, a navigator, a systems operator, each one a specialist, each one a link in a chain that cannot afford to break at 40,000 feet over the Pacific. They belong to the 106th Air Brigade. In 2017, the PLAAF restructured its bomber divisions into leaner, faster air brigades. The reorganization was not bureaucratic housekeeping. It was a deliberate push toward independent deployment capability. A brigade that can plan, stage, launch, and execute without waiting for division-level approval. Speed matters when the mission is nuclear. Life at Neixiang is defined by rotation and readiness. Crews cycle through alert postures, ready rooms, and simulator bays inside a base designed to keep its purpose hidden and its aircraft protected. There are no open flight lines here, no public air shows. The mountain absorbs the base, and the base absorbs the crews. The training clock runs in 3 shifts. Day operations run from 0800 to 1600. Evening sorties run from 1600 to 2400. Post-midnight flights run from 2400 to 0800. Each shift demands full crew performance. No degraded standards after dark. No shortcuts after midnight. A nuclear strike mission does not schedule itself around crew comfort. The People's Liberation Army Air Force pushes further with what it calls rolling type training. Blocks that chain all 3 shifts consecutively. Up to 24 uninterrupted hours of operations, transitioning from daylight navigation to evening instrument approaches to post-midnight combat profiles. The purpose is deliberate. A real strike timeline does not pause for a rest cycle. The crew must function when exhausted, disoriented, and deep into a mission that began the previous morning. Then the calendar cuts them off. Every late December, training halts almost entirely. Mandatory maintenance cycles and People's Liberation Army holiday schedules ground the fleet through early January. It is a structural ceiling on experience. Hours that cannot be recovered. Instincts that cannot be sharpened during weeks when the aircraft are locked in hardened shelters and the crews are stood down. Unlike fighter pilots hunting air dominance, H-6N crews carry something heavier into every sortie. The awareness that the mission they rehearse, if ever ordered for real, ends at a nuclear target. That weight does not leave the ready room. No H-6N crew launches a nuclear strike profile directly from Naxiang. The mission begins long before the aircraft leaves the ground. Crews relocate. Inland bases in Shanxi or Henan serve as the starting point, but the real departure comes from coastal staging airfields where aircraft are resupplied, crews are reorganized, and the final push across the first island chain begins. The pipeline is deliberate. Every step of it is trained. The endurance benchmark was set in 2016. H-6K crews flew several thousand kilometers over the South China Sea for nearly 10 continuous hours. It was a PLAAF record. It was also a message. The flight demonstrated that Chinese bomber crews could sustain a mission profile long enough to reach, strike, and attempt a return from targets deep in the Western Pacific. 10 hours in a bomber cockpit is not a comfortable experience. Crew rotation protocols manage fatigue across the flight deck. Nutrition, hydration, and alertness management become tactical concerns. The navigator tracks position across time zones. The systems operator monitors threats that shift with every passing hour. The pilot and co-pilot trade control through darkness and dawn, keeping the aircraft on profile when the body demands sleep. March 2018 added a new dimension. A bomber division based in Shanxi province launched 12 H-6K aircraft simultaneously. It was described as the largest single bomber deployment in a live PLAAF training operation in recent years. 12 crews, 12 aircraft, 1 coordinated strike rehearsal over open water. Aerial refueling training compounds the challenge. Rendezvousing with a Y-20 tanker mid-mission requires precision that exhausted crews must execute perfectly. A failed connection means a shortened mission or an aborted profile. Every successful refueling extends the clock, the range, and the crew's exposure to everything fatigue does to judgment. The rolling 24-hour training block ties it all together. Crews launch in daylight, transition through evening navigation runs, and complete post-midnight instrument approaches. The sequence mirrors a real-world strike timeline from base departure to target, approach to recovery. By the time a crew completes a full rolling block, they have lived inside a simulated nuclear mission for an entire day. That is the standard Neixiang demands. Anything less is not enough. Training only takes a force so far. At some point, the mission becomes real airspace, real distances, and real adversaries watching every move. For H-6N crews, that transition happened gradually, then all at once. Since 2015, China and Russia have conducted joint strategic air patrols together. 9 of them. H-6 bombers flying alongside Russian Tu-95 Bear aircraft over the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, and eventually into airspace that made Western defense ministries take notice. Each patrol is more than a diplomatic gesture. It is a live rehearsal, navigation at range, emissions control, escort coordination, tanker rendezvous, target approach profiles flown with live crews in live aircraft over real ocean. November 2024 marked a threshold. H-6N bombers appeared on a joint patrol for the first time. Not the older H-6K, the nuclear variant. Flying over the Sea of Japan alongside Russian Tu-95s, the 106th Air Brigade's aircraft signaled something deliberate. Operational maturity. A nuclear-capable crew confident enough in its training to fly the mission profile in international airspace with the world watching. Days later, on November 30th, 2024, H-6Ns flew a route that brought them within calculated striking distance of Guam. Derek Solon, a researcher at the U.S. Air Force China Aerospace Studies Institute, described it plainly. The flight simulated a nuclear strike on American Pacific bases. Not a training sortie, not a navigational exercise. A deliberate rehearsal of the exact mission these crews exist to execute. The weight behind that flight runs deeper than 2024. On May 14, 1965, an H-6A bomber dropped China's first air-delivered nuclear weapon over the Lop Nur test site. That aircraft belonged to the unit that would eventually become the 106th Air Brigade. Over the following 15 years, H-6 crews dropped live nuclear weapons 8 more times. 9 tests in total. The institutional memory of those missions lives inside every crew rotation at Neixiang. What these patrols communicate to Beijing's adversaries is precise and intentional. The crews are trained, the aircraft are armed, the routes have been flown. The only variable left is the order. 20 aircraft. That is the number Beijing is betting its entire airborne nuclear deterrent on. Not a fleet with redundancy built in. A single brigade at a single base. If Neixiang is targeted and those hardened shelters fail, China's airborne nuclear leg does not degrade. It disappears. The mountain caverns buy survivability. The reinforced shelters absorb blast. But no amount of concrete changes the arithmetic. 20 airframes means 20 crews. 20 crews means zero margin for attrition, mechanical failure, or the kind of losses that any first strike is specifically designed to inflict. The H-20 is the answer Beijing is building toward. A stealth bomber designed to assume the airborne nuclear role, evade the air defense networks that make the H-6N's mission profile increasingly dangerous, and carry the triad's air leg into the next generation of warfare. But the H-20 is not operational. It has not entered service. And until it does, the 106th Air Brigade carries the full weight alone. The nuclear triad logic demands all 3 legs function simultaneously. Land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, And the bomber. China has invested heavily in the first two. The third rests entirely on 20 aging airframes and the crews trained to fly them beyond the range of survival. Experience cannot be manufactured on a faster timeline. The rolling 24-hour training blocks, the coastal staging pipeline, the 10-hour endurance flights, the joint patrols over the Sea of Japan, all of it exists to build the one thing no procurement budget can accelerate: readiness. And right now, readiness lives at Neixiang. Nowhere else. Somewhere inside a mountain-hardened base in Henan province, a 4-person crew is rotating through a midnight shift. They have staged through coastal airfields, logged 10-hour overwater sorties, and cycled through 24-hour rolling training blocks that never pause for comfort. The airframe is old. The mission is the most consequential in China's arsenal. The crew is the one variable Beijing cannot build faster or replace cheaply. 20 bombers, 1 brigade. The entire airborne weight of China's nuclear deterrent resting on crews that eat, sleep, and train inside a base carved into a mountainside. The H-20 is coming. Until it does, these crews are all there is.